All right, ACIM Gather welcomes Susan Michel, author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. Welcome, Susan. I'm turning the mic over to you.
Hi, it is great to be here as always. This is Susan Michel in Western Massachusetts, and I am the author of my newly released book, Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. It is based on the principles of A Course in Miracles, which I have been studying now for 33 years. And the joy that A Course in Miracles has brought into my life is just beyond measure. It is priceless. I would never have been able to get to this place within myself without the guidance of A Course in Miracles. Now, before I start, I will preface with what happened to me an hour prior to the show. I lost my left tooth. So I'm just going to try to refrain from smiling too much because I'm a little bit uncomfortable about that. But hey, it is what it is, right? I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. A Course in Miracles says throughout the workbook lessons and throughout the text. So maybe this is part of what I am learning in this earthly classroom. When things go wrong with my physical self, I just have to do my best not to take that too personally and just let it be what it is. So I will start today's talk with one of my favorite paragraphs from chapter 2. And this was originally recommended by another fabulous host. I believe he started this Pal Talk platform, David Fishman, Dove. And this is such a wonderful way to start a talk because it's my way of giving my talk over to Christ consciousness. We all have access to Christ consciousness, to our true self, whenever we surrender our will with a small w to his will with a capital W. And that's what I attempt to do as often as possible. So here in chapter 2, Jesus writes through Helen Schuckman, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. And this paragraph, I feel like if you get the true meaning of any one section of A Course in Miracles, you're really able to connect to yourself on a deep level. I mean, this paragraph, this little prayer here says it all. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I mean, we were born to perform miracles. We were born to perform miracles in the name of God. Now, the miracles don't come from our will. The miracles don't come from us. The miracles come from God. God is going to tell us where to go. God is going to tell us what to say, what to do. But it's a matter of trusting him. It's a matter of releasing our will to his will. It's a matter of releasing our blocks. It's a matter of letting go. It's a matter of surrendering. I think that's a big reason that I entitled my book Surrender to Joy, because the joy is always in us. But so many times what we do through our worry, through our fear, is we block the joy. But when we can really let go and surrender, that joy is available to us at each and every moment. I mean, the introduction of my book starts out, my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection to all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with 3 simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. So I a lot of times think about that paragraph that was downloaded to me about 6 years ago in my meditations throughout the day. You know, whenever I go into worry mode, I am not trusting God. Trust, acronym for trust, to rely upon spirit totally. God always has my back. God is always there. And all I need to do is tap into his guidance, and there is nothing to worry about. I mean, worrying is a block. Worrying is detrimental. Every time I worry, I have given allegiance to my ego. Ego, easing God out. Ego is my fear, you know? So whenever I'm worrying, I'm blocking God's love. So it's really important for me to focus on peace, love, joy, and happiness as often as possible. Each morning now, what I do when I get out of bed, I go downstairs and I listen to Carol Howe on Audible, and she reads the lessons. Today's lesson is lesson 188, which is a fabulous lesson. Today's lesson actually is one of Bill Thetford's favorite lessons. Carol Howe said that Bill Thetford, the co-scribe of A Course in Miracles, wrote down 10 of his favorite Course in Miracles lesson, and lesson 188 is one of those 10. And what it states is the peace of God is shining in me now. And then it starts out by saying, why wait for heaven? Those who seek the light are merely covering their eyes. The light is in them now. I love this next sentence. Enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all. So we don't have to search anywhere outside of ourselves to find that light. All we need to do is be still and remember that I am God. Be still and remember that the love that I think I'm seeking for in the outside world is not out there. The love that I think I'm seeking for is within me. And that is such a profound recognition. You know, I've heard that for so long. You know, I knew this intellectually years before I embodied that truth into my life. I mean, intellectually, I've heard, be still and know that I am God. You know, intellectually, I knew that, as A Course in Miracles states, there is no world. Intellectually, I knew that I couldn't find my satisfaction in the world. But what's been happening to me lately is I'm starting to embody that truth. I'm starting to feel God's presence within me. in the mornings, I'll go down as I started out saying, and I'll listen to the lesson of the day on Carol Howe's YouTube channel. And this morning's lesson, again, the peace of God is shining in me now. And then what I do is I come into my office space and I will do a 30-minute meditation. And I start out the meditation with the lesson of the day, the peace of God is shining in me now. And then again, it starts out as an affirmation. As I continue to recite it, I start feeling the meaning behind the words. Because when I can really embody the meaning behind the words into my life, I feel at peace. I feel unconditionally loved by this being that I am a part of. I'm a part of God, and He's always there, and He's always supporting me. He's always directing me. He's always guiding me. He's always loving me. There's nothing that I can do to push Him away. Like, He loves me no matter what. So I think what's happening to me in this lifetime is the closer I get to God, the more I pray for His guidance, for His direction. What ends up happening is He brings up in me what is blocking His love. My darkness comes to the light, but only so it can be healed. My friend Sherry and Sherry talks with me fairly often here on Pal Talk, and we came up with the 4P process, which I believe got downloaded to us from those higher beings that we are a part of. And what we wrote down is that when we're triggered in life, instead of reacting to the trigger, a great way to heal is to identify what it is within us that needs to be healed. So it's not about blaming outside circumstances. It's not about projecting our fear onto the external world, because again, there is no world. The external world is just a reflection of an internal condition. So when we get triggered by the world, instead of reacting, pause. The first P is pause. And in order to hear God and grow and learn, we need to slow down. I mean, that's a basic truth. So when we're triggered, the first thing we need to do is pause. Second, own the pain. The pain is not real. The pain is something in our subconscious or unconscious mind that has not yet healed. But in order to eradicate it, in order to clear our channel, we need to relax and own it. Not because we want to stay there, but only so we're able to identify it and release it, own the pain. Most people are not willing to do that. Why? Because pain is painful, right? Pain is painful. It doesn't feel good to sit in the pain. However, once we're courageous enough to actually own that pain, instead of projecting that pain onto outside circumstances, instead of being victims of the world. Once we're willing to own the pain, you know what happens? It subsides. And the joy on the other side is wonderful. I mean, that's how life works. So the second P is own the pain. The third P is process that pain. The fourth P is pray. Give it to God and enjoy the passion and the peace that's on the other side of it. There's so many P's here, isn't it? So in my book, in chapter 2, I write about triggers. I write about owning the pain. I quote Araya Mountain Dreamer in the invitation poem. That is one of my favorite poems. She writes in one of her lines in the middle of the poem, she writes, I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without trying to hide it or fade it or fix it. So when we get triggered, what we need to do in order to heal is to own the pain. And then on the other side of that pain is all the joy. You know, it's on the other side of the pain. That's when we're really able to connect to Christ consciousness, after we allow our channel to be cleared. On the next sentence of this particular poem is, I want to know if you can dance with joy, allow the ecstasy to fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. So that's what clearing our channel is all about. I mean, the triggers are challenging. The joy and the peace and the passion that we feel on the other side is extremely rewarding. At least that has been my experience in this lifetime. This 4th of July has been a wonderful week for me. It's also been a challenging week for me because I experienced a series of events that triggered me. And I believe my darkness was coming to the light for healing purposes. I have a friend of mine whom I love deeply, a girlfriend, and I've known her for almost 20 years, and she is a soul sister. She is always going to be a part of my life. However, for the past 8 years, we have been triggering each other. And I do believe that we love each other enough to stay in the relationship and work through our stuff. And what Course in Miracles would say about that is this is about a special relationship turning itself into a holy relationship. Now, most people think of special relationships and holy relationships as being romantic relationships. That's not true at all. It can be a romantic relationship, but a relationship can be with anyone, with anyone at all. So I think that with me and this particular girlfriend, we have been kind of placed together by the divine order of the universe to grow and learn and work through our issues together. You know, I mean, when you think about it, if you go off to some retreat and you are all day praying and meditating and doing yoga, taking walks in the woods, it's probably a bit easier to stay plugged into the God socket, as I would call it. But when we get into relationships with other people, especially when we love them, they really hit us on a deep level when we get hurt, right? When they do something that triggers our unhealed wounds, it's really painful. I mean, if we don't care about them, then it's much easier. But once you love someone, whether it be a romantic partner or a platonic friend, once you start loving someone, then when they do something that you feel is disrespectful, then it really hurts. At least that's been my experience. I mean, what happened with my friend this weekend is my unhealed abandonment issues and my unhealed rejection issues got pushed to the surface. Again, I am not saying it's my fault. I'm not saying it's her fault. It is what it is. And as my other friend always says, it's all coming together and it's all good. What needs to be healed is being healed. I mean, I guess as I could give an example of one particular issue that came up without blaming myself and without blaming her. You know, we were on the boat, and we have a pontoon boat that we keep in Northampton, Massachusetts, and we take it out on the Connecticut River. And it's beautiful. It's just an absolutely beautiful ride. And it was at sunset, and we were riding down the river. The sun was setting. The birds were chirping. The wind was blowing. The music was playing. It was all really, really good. I was plugged into my God socket, tapped into Christ consciousness, seeing the beauty in the world. And then all of a sudden I look over and my friend is on the phone. She actually was not talking on the phone. She was just kind of doing something on the phone, whether it's email or text or social media. I have no idea, but she was on her phone. And then I looked again 5 minutes later, she was still on the phone. 5 minutes later, she was still on the phone. And I guess how I felt, now, is there anything wrong with her being on the phone? No, she has every right to be on the phone. But what came up for me was abandonment. Like, I wanted her to be fully present in the beautiful moment with me. And I felt rejected and abandoned. And again, I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying this is what came up for me. And I really knew this was unhealthy. I really tried to ignore the feeling. I started praying. I gave it to God. I even started praying, dear God, don't let me feel this way. Don't let me be triggered. I just, please help me to stay in the moment and not, be so concerned with what my friend is doing here. But the feelings remained. And then after we got off the boat, I stopped at the ladies' room on the way out of the marina, and I prayed, because that's actually part of my 4-step process, right? Pray. And I asked God to help me heal this old abandonment issue. And I didn't talk it over with her that evening. Then I wanted to be really, really careful not to project any of my own anger onto her. I didn't want to do that. But the next morning, I was able to share my feelings, and she was able to hear me. And I do believe a lot of healing occurred. You know, she had her own way of seeing the situation. And I had my own way of seeing the situation. From her perspective, she had something really important to do on the phone, which is like a little computer. And from my standpoint, I wanted her to be fully present with me in the moment. So there is no right, there is no wrong. I think that's a quote from Rami or Rumi. There is no good, there is no bad, there is no right, there is no wrong. So I'm not saying that she did anything wrong. I'm just saying we saw the situation differently. I chose to share my perspective and my feelings with her in a loving way. And she was there and she heard me, and she ended up apologizing at the end of the time that we spent together. But again, I don't think she did anything wrong. I don't think I did anything wrong. I think that something happened, and we both had healing that needed to occur. I mean, A Course in Miracles is very clear about the fact that darkness needs to come to the light in order for healing to occur. And I've read this part of the Course in Miracles text over and over again. And this is in chapter 1, Roman numeral 4. Jesus writes, the escape from darkness involves 2 stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. Second, the recognition that there is nothing you want to hide, even if you could. This step brings escape from fear. When you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. So I believe that's what happened for me over the week. And I believe that's what happens in my life a lot of the time, because the world is a classroom. You know, everything in life is a lesson or a blessing. And the lessons, when interpreted properly, turn into blessings, because it's always about, if we're not happy, if we're not peaceful, if we're not enjoying the situation, there's something in our unconscious or subconscious mind that's blocking us. So the lessons, which are painful, turn into blessings, because every time we're able to release a block, we get closer to God's love. We get closer to source energy with a capital S. We get closer to the truth of who and what we are. The truth is with a capital T. So I'm so grateful for my friendships. I'm so grateful for the lessons that God presents to me, because they're all opportunities to learn and to grow. And I'm so grateful for A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles states in the introduction, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what that means is the only thing that's real is the love. And I am so grateful for that. So thank you so much for being here with me today. My book, Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity, is available now on Amazon. And I have it right here. And I thank you for being here with me. I love you all. And I will now return the microphone to Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan Michel. I'm so grateful for you, and we will see you